I did want to take a minute to introduce her. This is the official script, but I've known Erin for over 10 years now. We both served on the advisory board for McCombs when I first got to know her. She embodies leadership. She's someone from the first day I met her was someone I looked up to and knew she would be a perfect role model for what we're doing here at Case Wally. Now, the official script is that Erin is the founder of Meta Business World, where she helps Black women align their ambitions with inner peace and purpose, empowering them to lead with confidence and clarity. Erin's personal journey, which I have witnessed, through profound loss and healing, has shaped her life's mission. After experiencing the deaths of loved ones and moments of deep adversity, she turned to the metaphysical psychology and holistic practices, earning certifications in yoga, Tai Chi, and beyond. Today, Erin coaches leaders from Fortune 500 companies, and her insights have been featured in Forbes, Entrepreneur, and USA Today. She's a proud Harvard business graduate, a global traveler, and a devoted mother. So please join me in welcoming Erin. She's going to be phenomenal.
Thank you guys so much, and thank you, Sandeep, so much for that beautiful introduction. And I also just want to express my gratitude and just sincere inspiration for all of the folks that presented today, because I know standing up here, telling your story, sharing your story, I've been doing this for years, so it's like second nature to me, but it's not easy. And what you guys did today was admirable, so I wanted to just hats off to you. And so I'm Erin Patton, and I am a metaphysical master in a millennial age is what I call myself. And I like to say that when you change your energy, you change your life, okay? And we're going to get into what that means, and I'm going to share a little bit more with you guys. So I want to ask you guys a question and kind of just think about it to yourself. We're not going to answer it right away. But what is the one area in your life that will change your health, your wealth, and your happiness? Okay, think about that. Okay, and now we're going to get into a little bit of my story. This is me. Graduating from Harvard, as he shared. I went to Harvard Business School and the Harvard Kennedy School of Government, so I got both a master's in business administration and a master's in public policy. So you all are just shaking your head oh my God, so impressed. But I have to say that this was 10 years ago, literally almost, you guys, I kid you not, to the day, because I graduated in 2015 in May. And here we are now, May of 2025. Look at God. Okay, I just got to say that. And when I graduated, I have to say that this was one of the lowest points of my life. Okay? I graduated from Harvard. I moved to Detroit by myself. I was depressed. I was lonely. I had lost my identity. I didn't know who the fuck I was. Okay? Let me just be honest with you guys. I had spent so long performing. I had spent so long achieving that I did not know what I wanted. I did not know who I was. And so this is where I like to say my real education began. I had to start to understand all of those things that I had lost trying to please everyone else around me. And I know that is a kind of a shared experience by so many of us who spend a lot of our times achieving and pleasing and trying to be perfect. But in that, I have to share, I was traveling the world, so you aren't thinking that all is bad. I'm here in Brazil, I'm in the Middle East, I'm partying in Abu Dhabi and, traveling to Israel. Actually, this picture right here is me on the Jesus trip. I was going through my own kind of spiritual, if you will, search journey, and I started in the church, and I wanted to understand Jesus's walk. So I did everything from the Mount of Transfiguration to bathing in the Jordan River to everything that really could connect me to God, I felt. And this was all while I was building my first company, which is Deo. And it was a plant-based natural hair product line. And it was actually inspired by my experience in my first job out of college. So when I graduated from UT, I went to New York. My first full-time job, I was wearing my hair natural. This was in the early 2000s when it wasn't such a trend. And I was told that my hair was inappropriate for the work environment and it violated company policy. Oh, wow. And as you can imagine, for a 22-year-old in an environment that's completely new, it was soul-crushing. And it really challenged my identity, and it was really one of the contributing factors to why I felt like I was constantly performing and constantly people-pleasing and constantly, like I said, shape-shifting and trying to fit in other people's boxes, because I didn't want to be the person that was inappropriate in a space. I wanted to fit in every space, but that's not really what I was called to do, essentially. And so 10 years after that, I ended up ironically launching a beauty brand that was around celebrating my natural identity, celebrating my natural hair, and celebrating that which I wanted to own in many ways. I didn't quite embody it, but I wanted to own it. And moving here, this is actually me speaking at the UT commencement, because this was like a moment in time when I was really starting to see more of myself and wanting to share more of that with people. And McCombs, as I said before, has been there for me. This was when I was on the board, volunteering. They've always been supportive of me. So I've always kind of had that help in that community, but just didn't really have that trust and that belief and that confidence embodied in myself. And so as I was trying to find that confidence and that self-belief, I began to study metaphysics. So after that Israel trip, I really questioned a lot of what, and no disrespect to religion, but I really questioned a lot of what I was learning in church. I really questioned a lot of what I was learning in religion. And I asked God very directly to show me more, show me something deeper. And it took me on a journey to becoming a yoga teacher, instructor, understanding the mind, body, soul connection. I then went from there to studying Tai Chi. I became a Tai Chi master. That's actually me in Korea, getting my Tai Chi designation. And that was a couple years journey. And that took me on a deeper energy understanding of how we're connected to our energy and our soul and our spiritual body. And and this is me doing more of my creative expression and then speaking again as a distinguished alumni speaker right here in this building at UT. And so all of this began to really manifest when, as he mentioned, I started to lose my loved ones. I lost my father unexpectedly. A month later, one of my best friends was murdered on a trip in Jamaica. And then a few months after that, my mom, bless her beautiful heart, she attempted suicide. She was dealing with a lot of mental illness, grief, that then accelerated into Lewy body dementia. So this is why I resonated so deeply with the story around caregiving, because I became a caregiver to my mom and my little baby at the same time in a state of immense grief. And so in order to really navigate the emotional turmoil that comes with that and the challenges of not having the support from my family, if anything, being ridiculed, judged by my family, I had to find the support, the love in me to be able to show up for myself and show up for the people who depended on me, namely my mom and my son. And so essentially the answer to that question around what's the one thing that you can work on that can guarantee your health, your wealth, and your happiness is your soul development, your self-development. And that's one aspect that we don't really learn at Harvard. They don't teach us that at the McCombs School. So we have to be able to cultivate that and learn that on our own. So I really want to really get into, us understanding what this soul work really means, because you are essentially at the center of everything that you do. Not only you're at the center, but it's when you're focusing on yourself, loving yourself, developing yourself, then you essentially can change anything around you. And this is something that I actually told Sandeep when I was talking to him about you guys in the program, is what's the one thing that they all really need? I mean, you can all have the money in the world. You can have all the teams in the world. But if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't love yourself, if you don't have the confidence in your abilities, how are you going to show up and even talk to investors? How are you going to show up and motivate your team? So this is the one area where I feel like we have to be able to return to our authentic self at all times in everything that we do. Okay? So now I want to get into a little bit of a teaching, and this will really help to ground us in the facts, in the truth, because a lot of times people hear, I'm doing the soul work and I'm going to yoga and But at the end of the day, like, what is it really doing for you? There's evidence that supports this work, and I want to be able to show that to you guys. And it starts with the soul within. So for all of you who, I mean, this is just what it is, but we all see the sun. The beautiful sun has come and brightened up our world. We can now see the trees and everything's alive. But we also have our inner sun. And our inner sun is our soul, essentially, and it's right here at our solar plexus. And essentially, this is what animates our physical body. It's what drives us and wakes us up every day. So we're going to understand more about that soul energy. So essentially, what are we? Well, this is a beautiful kind of like abstract interpretation of how our energetic field works and how it's also connected to the elemental aspects of the world around us. And so essentially, the Taurus woman or the Taurus man is a quantum force field. It sounds really scientific and esoteric at the same time, but essentially it's a metaphysical substance. And I know we've all heard about meta from Facebook, but many of us don't even know what meta means. And meta essentially has Greek roots. It means to go above or beyond. And then physics, as we're very familiar with, represents the physical plane, the three-dimensional plane. So when you put metaphysics together, it invites us to go above and beyond our physical experience. And so we really want to understand that all that we are, and we are conscious beings of light in this body. We have divine intelligence and always are connected to divine intelligence in this body. And because of this, we can deduce that we are creators of our own realities. So when I talk about us being at the center of everything that we do and everything that we are, we create everything around us, whether we are conscious of it or whether we are not conscious of it. So everything that we experience, we oftentimes blame outsiders, external factors, when everything emanates and comes from us. So that's when we start to take that responsibility and that accountability, then that's when everything begins to shift, going back to my story. I used to be a victim of getting my hair talked about at work. I used to be a victim of having my family die and nobody there to support me, and I was broke, and I was on all kind of, social services. Everything was happening to me. But then I had to understand that when I started to shift my own reality, and actually I'll call them like beautiful spells. I started these affirmations. I would wake up every day crying in my childhood bedroom because I moved home to Houston. I was in my childhood bedroom taking care of my mom and my son, and I was just like, I am loved. I am fully supported. When I'm being cursed out by my son's dad because we had a very tumultuous relationship. When my mom is like doing something really strange because I don't understand her mental condition. When my baby's crying, I have everything that I need. I am strong. I am capable. I didn't even believe these things, but I had to speak them over myself until I did. And then after I believed it, I had to know it. And then after I know it, I had to embody it and be it. So there are levels to this shit. You know what I'm saying? There's levels to it. Like, you have to be able to first speak it over yourself, which already is a shift, a big shift. And we'll talk about the consciousness shift here. But essentially, this energy that we have around ourselves has been measured. The spirit energy, it's called the toroidal field, the Taurus energy field. It's also called the Merkaba, the aura, the Sri Yantra. These are very more esoteric names. But essentially, we have this field that goes around our heart energy and also around our entire body. And I wanted to show you guys this because it has been measured, scientifically measured, actually, to go as far as 5 miles from our heart. This is someone who actually has very high consciousness and very high energy. They're able to connect with people. And these energy fields exist around every living thing. So that means animals, trees, plants, flowers. We all have this ability to connect. And it's essentially the key to everything because life comes from this field. And there's power in us. By calling us these electromagnetic beings, we are essentially powerful beings. And it is proven. And by understanding how to leverage this toroidal energy, then we're really able to achieve a deeper understanding and a deeper clarity around ourselves to be able to shift more in our lives. And we can use this connection to really understand our soul's wisdom because we all came here with a very clear and distinct purpose. We all came here with very we have had experiences that really have shaped us. I mean, I really loved your Amulet company because it really targets something that you deeply experienced. Your Very company really connected to something you actually experienced. Friendship recession, that was powerful. I'm not able to connect with people, so what can I do to solve this problem for myself? When you listen to that inner voice, we're able to really not only solve problems for ourselves, but the world around us. And then that's how we become the millionaires, trillionaires, billionaires that we want to be, because we're actually deeply connected to that which we're trying to do. And so I wanted to show you all this because I know you guys love matrices. And this was created actually by Dr. David Hawkins. It's called A Map of Consciousness. And this is a scientifically rigorous study that was done over decades. He's written a few books around this that really helps us to understand numerically how we exist consciously and how our emotions are then directly tied to our level of consciousness. And so I know this is a lot, but what we want to focus on are the levels, the scales, and the emotions, okay? And this is a logarithmic scale. So when you're jumping from here to here, that's a major, major jump. And so essentially, 80-something odd % of the world exists underneath the dotted line. And that would make sense, though, because, you know, when we're looking at our leaders, a lot of them prideful, a lot of them demanding, a lot of them really working from a place of force. You know, even, you know, everything about our world is very punishing. I mean, we think about the God view, the vengeful, the denying, the punitive, everything kind of happens from this energy. And then when we're looking at sort of the level of energy that we have, no wonder we're so tired all the time. We can barely wake up. We need coffee every 2 hours. So it's just like, because when you look at your emotions and your consciousness, you energetically are spent. And then I loved when you talked about courage, right? What was it?
The courage to build meaningful relationships.
The courage to build meaningful relationships. That locked in with me because courage is the first step in being strong. It is literally the tipping point from operating from a level of force, of weakness, to a level of power and strength. Just to have an affirmation, a belief, a courage. Just the I can. I can energetically gets you so much further in life. But then when you start to move up the ladder of forgiveness, acceptance, or someone like an Albert Einstein, as written by Dr. David Hawkins, operated at a level of love, you become a genius. You a genius when you just love somebody, love yourself. And then, of course, you have people who are performing miracles at a Jesus level, at a level of enlightenment, a Mahatma Gandhi, where you're saving an entire nation from British, destruction by simply starving yourself, sitting there, chilling, peaceful, loving yourself in the world. You're saving hundreds of millions of people. So we really want to start to think about how we are emotionally responding to ourselves, our lives, and the things around us, and how it actually impacts how we operate, like our energy level. And when you see something like this, trust me, I go back and forth. I have a 5-year-old. I have a full-time job. I have bills. I have all the things too. So there are moments where I'm in the morning time meditation, crying because I have fearful anxiety, and reminding myself that God did not give me a spirit of fear. God gave me a spirit of power, of love, and a sound mind. And like I said, I have to speak over myself because that which I speak then becomes that which I believe, becomes that which I know, and that which I be. You know? So we really have to understand that the more that we are becoming aware of our emotions, aware of our level of consciousness, the more we can do to shift it. Because remember what I said at the beginning? Change your energy, you change your fucking life. Period. This is coming from a cancer survivor. And you don't survive, you don't miraculously survive something that's meant to kill you unless you can believe that I am greater than something that is trying to kill me.
Amen.
Sit with that every day, waking up, knowing that something is attacking me in my body, and I have to shift my mindset and believe that I can overcome that which is trying to kill me. That takes mind power. That takes energy. But most importantly, it takes love. It takes joy. It takes a peace. And we want to be able to experience that. Imagine the kind of world we can have if we operated with that kind of energy. And so this brings me to the next question is it possible to change yourself? Okay? You ultimately can choose how you think, what you believe in, what brings you happiness. You have that ability. That's what free will is. It's the ability to choose for yourself what you want. Everyone has this choice. And essentially, it's the missing piece. Like I mentioned before, our educational system, unfortunately, does not teach this. No disrespect. I love you, T. Hook and Horns. But at the end of the day, even prestigious institutions like Harvard, we focus on academics, we focus on business, we focus on society, we focus on this and that. But even courses like I took adaptive leadership, these are very sought after courses for emotional development and leadership. Even public-private narrative, these are treated as electives, when in reality, these electives, this soul development should be the primary focus, and the business and the academics should be the elective, in my view. So essentially, yeah, this is it. The soul, the self-development, it's the foundation. And so if there is nothing that we all can take away from this, it's really understanding that we, as we focus on ourselves, as we focus on our soul, are really taking ourselves, our lives, our businesses to the next level, okay? So it's a whole life approach. We need to honor who we are, first and foremost. No punishment, no judgment. This is something that I always have to remind myself and others, we look, we don't judge. We listen, we don't judge. I know that's really popular on social media, trending right now. But so we have to be able to honor where we're at. If we're miserable, if we're unhappy, if we're depressed right now, honor that feeling. Sit with that feeling. Like I shared with you before, I had that feeling for many years. And every day I would still wake up and speak my affirmations over myself, crying, sad. But I believed that I could get out of that. And that's what we do. We have to meet ourselves where we are. And that essentially blends with your life. And so I wanted to plug this in because this is what I'm doing right now is I'm launching this program called the Soulful Accelerator. And so we do these accelerators, these business accelerators to really accelerate our business. And I've created an opportunity for us to accelerate our souls so that we can have this integrated approach to spirituality, emotional development, professional development. And it's really targeted, I call it Black women because I redefined the word Black. Beautiful, loving, and knowledgeable. That's what Black means to me. And so I want us all to really move past these self-doubts, the anxieties, the fears, the shame, the guilt that we carry. We done been through a lot as women. Yet we have so much that we can achieve, so much that we can share from these experiences. And so we use that. We work through those childhood wounds, those teenage wounds, those college wounds, to really catalyze our experiences to create something special and unique for the world. And that's why I'm so proud of you women who have catalyzed your experiences, your passions, your belief to create something unique and beneficial for the world. And this is essentially what this accelerator does. And when we're able to do that, and then do it in a stress-free, loving, joyful way, then we're really able to unlock limitless potential, honestly. Billion-dollar companies sitting right here. Because a woman decided, I'm going to make jewelry. Everyone makes jewelry, but it's aligned with who she is. And now she's a billionaire, and employing beautiful, successful women. And so, I just wanted to kind of share these testimonials, people who've worked with me, who've really benefited, mothers, professionals, models, educators, academics, who've really found just clarity, purpose, overcoming all kinds of relationship hurdles and doing this program. And then, of course, I just wanted to leave this here to I have 20 spaces available. The program starts June 2nd. I'm really excited to just offer this to whoever in the room feels called to work with me and really grow their soul, grow their work, grow their opportunities. And my website to do that is upgrade.erinpatton.com. And I just really want to open the floor up to questions because I know I dropped a lot on you guys. And I'm sure people have questions or comments or just wanted to just let this all sit and marinate. Have you all talk.
Yeah.
I had like a question / comment. I do love the fact that if you go back a couple slides, it's like just like the whole like it's like manifestation or just like right there, the honors who you are. That slide for me is like very important. I think I'm like very delulu about what's going to happen in the next year, but very salulu of what I could do towards that.
Right.
Right. It kind of like it's like where do you want to go? But like it might seem like you're delusional. It might seem like it's the hardest thing to do. But what's that one step? And like kind of taking that action forward that takes you a step closer. Maybe you step back a couple of days. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But I do like this slide a lot.
Okay.
Well, I want to first honor that, the delulu, because a lot of times we feel like, oh, I'm so crazy for feeling this. Do you not? I graduated from Harvard, you guys. And now I'm a spiritual teacher. Okay, so you don't understand, like, okay, like this, even accepting that took me years to even like get to that point. Like that was an incredible delusional idea that I would be an energy healer. Are you kidding me? With 4 degrees, I got 2 degrees from UT too. I went Plan 2 and business. So I did not, everything about this path was incredibly delusional to me to start. But what we call in my work is like process goal alignment. So you have this delusional goal, but then of course you have to create the strategy. That's why I say I do the spiritual work and I got to mix it with the strategy because you have to be able to execute on these incredibly vast ideas that you have. But only you can bring that information, that knowledge through because it's your vision. And that's why you can't really learn it in a class. You can't learn somebody else's theory. That's their work. You got your work. So you have to lock in with that vision, you know, whatever your highest self, God, however your spirit team, you know, whatever deities you may work with, however you move. And then you have to ask for that guidance. And then you have to wake up and do the work. You have to work through those emotions of doubt. Like, oh, I'm so delusional. Like you tell somebody your idea, they shit on it. How does that feel? Now I got to work through the rejection. You know, now I got to work through, you know, there's always a next step in getting to the next step too. So I hope that supports you.
I think, at least like for me, right, it was like as a POC man, it's very similar to like what some women had to experience when in that like networking session.
Yeah.
Right, when you go in, you feel like you have to explain why you're in the room. It's like I think it's the same thing that Dave and John will say with Kendra Scott. Okay. It's like how can you support other people in their journeys, or maybe it's not telling them what to do, it's just giving them the right intro. Mm-hmm. And that for me is very satisfying. So I do agree with some of those points. I think I still have to process it a little bit more.
Yeah, let it sit and soak because
I appreciate you calling out and naming that which you feel is an identity barrier. Because I too, that's why I had to redefine what Black meant for me. That's actually the reason why, and I'm so glad I get this opportunity to explain why I redefine Black, because Black, B-L-A-C-K, as we know it, is really associated with being a minority. We're a minority in the country. We're oppressed. We're slaves. That's the narrative. And we hear it over and over again. Doesn't resonate with me at all. So I had to define what Black meant to me, because culturally, I still fuck with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't get away from it. You know, I grew up in it. You know, so at the end of the day, how do I then find my identity amidst that which other people have defined and bounded? So I had to redefine. So beautiful, I'm loving, I'm kind. That still makes me Black. So when I show up in a room, I don't necessarily have those same kind of constructs around me in terms of being a Black woman, person of color. That doesn't sit with me. I defined it for myself, so when I show up, I'm Erin Patton. Period. Yeah.
Hey, Erin, I love how you can stand up here and share with these future leaders your struggles and being how vulnerable you are. And it sounds to me like you found your swan that we call in my family. The swan is the symbol of peace after challenge.
Yeah.
And as a cancer survivor, sure, I know that. But I think a lot of times people look at me as a survivor and they're like, hey man, she's great, her treatment's over, she's cancer-free, right? There's a lot left after that.
Yeah.
And what I would love that I observe from you, and I hope that these young future leaders understand is, I look successful, right? I look happy. You look successful, but what are the bruises on your back? What are the scars under my shirt?
Mm-hmm.
I went through a deep, flat, 14-hour reconstruction process, and I'm flat on the left side right now. And I'm mad. Why am I? I'm not a victim. This is my opportunity to be vulnerable and share. So when you struggle, when you fall, can you explain to them how you got there?
Mm-hmm.
That we're comfortable now saying, hey, you know what? Successes aren't just success after success. It's like failure, success,
Mm-hmm.
right? So how did you get there? And how did you get comfortable sharing that, as a woman? Because I think maybe a little more challenging for us, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Beautiful question. And also, we hear, because I love your journey too. And I have to say that it doesn't really, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I actually said that. So I actually auditioned for commencement speech at Harvard when I graduated. And that was in my speech. Because that was the first time when I was at Harvard, I took that narrative, public narrative course, that speaking course, and it invited us to tell our personal story so that we can connect with people and invite them to follow our campaign or whatever it was politically. And it was the first time in my life that I had shared my story. I hadn't even shared it with you guys, but I'll share it right now. But as a child, my sister was murdered when I was 6. My mom actually dealt with mental illness then. She tried to kill herself then. And then a few months later, my dad went to prison for 7 years. So I carried a lot of shame my whole life. I used to have to lie. My mom wouldn't allow me to tell people that my dad was in jail. I had to lie, say he was on a business trip, because both my parents were doctors. So we grew up in a very kind of professional community. And so I actually had my friends didn't even know that my dad was in prison. So it was the first time that I told that story when I was at Harvard. And I'll never forget, because I had to write it and I submitted it. And then the teacher invited me to tell the story to everybody in class. And I was shaking, I was nervous. And I remember talking about this multiple times after. Every time I felt shame. I remember showing it to my mom. She was like, why did you tell people this? So I didn't even get support from my own mom for my story, my own experience. We don't always feel comfortable doing this work. That's all I got to say about that. I don't feel comfortable doing this work all the time. I don't feel comfortable when I get challenged, when God brings another challenge to my door. But I have committed, my soul has committed to this walk. I came into this body, I came to this earth, and I'm going to be my best self every moment I can. And that is all God asks. And it's going to be uncomfortable. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you, Erin. Come on, everyone give her another round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This was an honor.